Welcome to chapter 43 of the book of Genesis. Joseph's brothers return to Egypt. We saw in the last chapter where the brothers went to Egypt and then had to leave Simeon there, and they were sent back to bring Benjamin back, and they all went back, 9 of them, to where Jacob was. And now we continue in that story as they have returned with the food. And it says in verse 1, I'll read some in the Greek, and then we'll go through the chapter. O they limos eniskisan epi tigis. Ageneto they inika sinatelisan katafagin ton siton on ininkan ex Aegyptu. Ke ipanavtis opatir avton, palin porethentes priaste imin mikra vromata. And it came to, but the famine grew in strength upon the land. So maybe this was the 3rd year, and of the 7. And it came to pass when they completed eating up the grain. So they probably were back about a year, and all that food would maybe last them a year. And Simeon's in jail all this time. And so they completed eating up all the grain which they brought from Egypt. And their father said to them, and again, going, you buy us a small amount of foods, in the imperative. Go, do this, go buy some food. And Judah said to him, saying, the man bore witness by testifying to us, the master of the land, saying, and that's, of course, Joseph, you shall not see my face if your younger brother should not come with you. If then you send our brother with us, we will go down, that is, to Egypt, and we will buy foods for you. But if you do not send our brother with us, we will not go. For the man said to us, saying, you shall not see my face if your younger brother should not be with you. And Israel and Jacob said, well, why did you do evil to me, announcing to the man that there is to you a brother? And they said, well, in asking, the man asked of us and our family, and saying, does our father still live? And if there is to us a brother? And we reported to him according to this questioning. We did not know that he would say to us, you bring your brother? And Judah said to Israel his father, you send the lad with me, and rising up we shall go, that we should live and not die, even we and you and our belongings, because of the famine was so bad. I will look out for him. From out of my hand you seek him. If I do not lead him to you and set him before you, I will be sinning against you all the days. So Judah promises to return Benjamin. For if we had not slowed already, even we should have returned twice. And Israel said, their father said to them, if so it is, this you do, you take from the fruits of the earth in your containers, and bring to the man gifts of balm and honey and incense, balsam, terebinth resin, and walnuts. Things I guess they grew there. And you take double silver in your hands, and the silver being returned in your bags, and you return it with you. Perhaps it's by ignorance. The money that was put in their bags when they were there in Egypt. And you take your brother Benjamin, and rising go down to the man, that my God should give to you favor before the man, even to send your brother. Now, Jacob doesn't know who this is, the man, but it's his son. And he is praying to God for favor before his son. And God answers this prayer in a great way. And that my God should give to you favor before the man, even to send your brother, Simeon, the other one, and Benjamin, for as much as I indeed have been made childless, I've been made childless. So he's kind of like, oh, well, seeing this as bad as it is, as bad as it is, nothing I can do about it. And the men, taking these gifts, also took the double silver in their hands, and Benjamin. And rising up, they went down into Egypt and stood before Joseph. And Joseph saw them, and Benjamin his brother, the one born of the same mother, Rachel. And he said to the one over his house, a servant, bring the men into the house and slay the things offered for sacrifices and prepare, for the men will eat with me, breads at midday. And the man did as Joseph said, and he brought the men into the house of Joseph. He must have been living in luxury. And the men, seeing that they were brought into the house of Joseph, said, because he's got servants, said, on account of the silver returned in our bags, in the beginning we were brought in to extort us and to place charge upon us to take us as servants and our donkeys. So they're looking at the worst thing to happen. That's sort of what happens when you have guilt and you've done something wrong and you come to the realization that what you did was wrong. And you have this guilt. And then when you have the guilt, you start thinking, well, something bad is going to happen. God is going to punish me for what I did. It would only be right. And so you look at all these bad things that could possibly happen because of your guilt, being extorted, somebody taking advantage of you. You don't trust people as much as you used to when you were younger and doing things like they are, because you've seen people do what you were doing when you were younger. So you worry if it's going to happen to you, or he's going to take us and make us servants and our donkeys. He's doing all this so he can take our things, and the person that has the guilt can think about, I'm going to lose everything because of what I did, and the stock market could crash, or the house could burn down, all sorts of things going through your mind. That's what was going through these men's mind in their conversation. And coming forward to the man over the house of Joseph, the servant, they spoke to him in the vestibule of the house. A vestibule is a little area by the door when you walk in. They said, we beseech you, O master, we went down in the beginning to buy foods. That's where we first came here. And it happened when we came to rest up after we left, and we opened our bags, that thus the silver was in each of his bags. So they're trying to, if this is what they're going to arrest us for, we're going to fess up. And we return now our silver with the weight in our hands, and we brought other silver with ourselves to buy foods. We do not know who put the silver in our bags. And the servant said to them, kindness be to you, don't fear. Phobiste, phobia, phobe. Whenever you see the phobe, it's fear. Your God and the God of your fathers, he gave to you treasures in your bags. Now, did Joshua tell the servant exactly what to say and how to handle this? We don't know, but probably. And your silver in approving I receive. Okay, we'll take it. And he led out to them Simeon, who was there in prison for a year probably. And he brought water to wash their feet and gave fodder to their donkeys. So apparently he had some type of an estate probably, because they had donkeys coming there in an area to tie the donkeys and give them food and so forth. And they prepared the gifts until Joseph came at midday. Now, who is the they? Servants or the brothers? I'm not sure. For they heard, now there's the they again, that he was about to dine there. Well, it was probably then the brothers. The brothers prepared the gifts until the things that the balsam and the resin and all these things that Jacob told him to take. And Joseph entered into the house, and they brought to him the gifts which they had in their hands into the house. Here you are, this is from us, from our father, and did obeisance to him upon their face, upon the ground, and did this again, as the dream said they would. And the dream was twice. And he, Joseph, asked them, how have you been? And he said to them, is your father in health, the old man whom you spoke of? Still he lives? And they said, he is in health, your servant our father still lives. And he, Joseph, said, blessed be that man by God. Now, what God did the servant that's translating say? Just God, Ra, or Iava? I don't know. Doesn't say. Or just the word for God. And bowing, they did obeisance to him again, the third time, I believe. Not the second time here, but when they came the first time. And looking up with his eyes, he saw Benjamin, his brother, the one born of the same mother. And he said, this is your brother, the younger, whom you spoke to me to bring? And he said, well, God show mercy to you, child. So Benjamin must have been fairly young. And Joseph, and maybe scared being there in front of such an important man, and Joseph was disturbed, for his innards contracted, enterra, enterals. This, you can add that to your English derivatives book. His innards contracted over his brother. He's all tied up, bent over, and he was seeking to weep, Joseph, and he entered into the storeroom to weep there. So he leaves, excuses himself, and goes into the room, cries, washes his face, and coming forth he controlled himself, and said, you place the breads. And they placed a setting to him alone for Joseph, and to them by themselves, the servants, to them would be the brothers, and to the Egyptians dining with him by themselves. For the Egyptians were not able to eat breads with the Hebrews, for it is an abomination to the Egyptians, possibly because they had livestock and ate these things, and the god of Memphis was a bull. So I don't know, maybe they were like the Hindus and not eating meat somehow. Yeah, maybe it was just the upper echelon of Egyptians that did that. But they all sat apart, three groups, basically, three peoples. And they seated before him the firstborn according to their seniority, and the younger according to his youth. So we have the 11 brothers from the oldest, which would have been Reuben, all the way down to the end with Benjamin, all according to their ages. Of course, Joseph knew that. And the men each were looking amazed at his brother. How did this happen? How does he know this? And they lifted away the portions from him to them. And the portion of Benjamin was magnified over the portions of all, fivefold over those. So he received 5 times as much. And they drank and became intoxicated with him. So they're all drinking wine and feeling good. Next chapter of the story continues. This cat and mouse game that Joseph is playing with his brothers. And to find out what happens next, which is interesting, you have to join us. I hope you do. Until then, God bless.